Good morning, my family. Welcome to another episode of Island Girl. I have very much abandoned y'all these last few months. I was in the middle of a cocoon season. I was in the middle of my own transformation from about, let's say, January, I think, yeah, or mid December, like late December until maybe May. Around May, I started coming out of it and feeling like myself again and having energy and, you know, feeling motivated and excited. But from about late December when I got back home until May, yeah, I didn't have the energy for podcasting. I didn't have the energy for anything, right? Because when you're in that cocoon season or that, you know, metamorphosis, when you're in that darkness, you don't have energy to, you don't have energy or love to give. You are having a hard time loving yourself and having energy to complete the daily things like work and cooking and laundry and all the tasks that you have to complete on a daily. And so you remove energy and time from things that are extra, things that are not survival, things that are not necessary. And this was one of them, right? Podcasting and giving energy on IG. But since I'm better now and I'm at a higher vibration and I've learned so many lessons since this last metamorphosis in these last few months in the dark night of the soul, I'm able to come back on here and share, myself, my life, what I've learned, all that stuff. Today is Friday, June 19th, and I'm off. I've been off since Wednesday. My mom's family's here, my aunts and my uncle's here from the capital for 2 days, and I've been hanging a lot with my uncles and my aunts and my older cousin who's kind of like my aunt. Um, and we've been hanging out a lot. We went to the resort together. Then we went um, to spend a day at another resort. So we've been hanging out. We had a great time. Unlimited food, unlimited drinks for me, coffee and water and lemonade. And it's been great. It's been great to be pretty much in paradise and able to share this with my family. This version of myself and this life that I live here. Um, I was yesterday where I said in, which is the apartment complex that I invested in. I back in 2021 when we first came to, not first came, but we've been traveling to DR all the time since my dad moved here about 17 years ago, and ever since we would always come to DR to visit him and to bring him the kids and everything about twice a year, every summer for sure. And in 2021, we were here in October in Santiago with my sister's husband's family. And then the idea came to me like, wow, I don't want to leave. I want to stay here. I would love to live here. Life here is so much better, right? And so, like around 2022, we were like, let's find a property that we can invest in, an apartment. First, we were thinking Santiago because we love the life in Santiago. It was so much slower than the capital, and so that was the only place we were really exposed to other than we have been in the capital, we have been to Punta Cana to resorts, we have been to La Tejena Airbnbs, but like, we got to like stay at the Santiago for about a week and a half, and we were in love. We were like, we can live here, this is awesome, I could drive here, not as crazy as in the capital. So in 2022, we were looking for investment properties. We found an investment property, and they was like, why would we invest in Santiago when you have to go drive like an hour in order to get to the beach, and we want to be by the beach. So he was like, let's look at Punta Cana. And then eventually we ran into this apartment complex in Punta Cana, and it was called Serena Village. Two of my cousins that actually grew up here and lived here in Santiago, not Santiago, Santo Domingo. They had already invested in it, and they had done all the research and all of that. So they were for sure like, this is a good investment. So I jumped in on it, got a little an apartment there. It was about 80 something thousand, 80,000, and it was supposed to be a two bedroom. It could be a one bedroom or a two bedroom. I kept it as a one bedroom and two living rooms, so it was a bigger space because my idea was I'm gonna find a property that we can move to DR and live there and not have to rent anywhere, or I was thinking to minimize, to live a more minimalistic life, right? Coming from that big house with all these things in it and all this upkeep, to a small place that we would really much just sleep there because we would be in nature all the time. That was my idea. And but once we got the apartment, it took a while to get the apartment, right? We moved here in September, and the builder, the apartment people were telling us it would be done in September. So we moved here, and we came to an Airbnb because we thought it would take maybe 2 weeks to do all the paperwork and everything. When we got here with all of our luggage and all these boxes we had sent that arrived shortly after we got here at the Airbnb, we realized that the apartment had a lot of time, like it needed at least a few more weeks to be finished. And so we had to make a decision whether to just keep Airbnb and wait for that apartment, or just find something else and then eventually Airbnb that apartment, just have it as an investment property. And so that's what we did. So then we went looking around. Plus, um, that the area where that apartment was, it was really far from the kids' school. So in the morning, it was like a 40-minute commute because there was so much traffic at that time and rush hour. And so we started looking at places closer to the school so that that commute would be shorter and it would be less hectic for us. And since both of us were working from here, and it would just be much, much easier for us to live closer to the school, since that was what we would be commuting to the most, twice a day. And so that's what we did. We found an apartment close to the school, about 5 minutes away at the Hard Rock, Canna Rock complex. And we rented we rented there for a year, and we Airbnb the apartment. Bay was handling the Airbnb, and everything was going well. And so then once we were there in Canna Rock, we did another year, a second year there, because it was a beautiful place. It was small. The kids had to share a room, which was difficult coming from having their own rooms and everything, but it was fine. We were mostly together in the living room. They were at school. We were outside at the pool, at the beach club. It was the residents had so many amenities that we were able to just be out of the apartment. Mostly me and Scarlett, for sure. We were out of the apartment a lot. And yeah, and then eventually we were like, this is too small for us. So when our 2 year was coming up at that apartment and we were gonna have to sign the lease again, we decided to find a 3 bedroom apartment somewhere in another residence that we liked at the time, which is this one, Cocotal. And Nathan had been doing soccer, football, here at Cocotal, and that they had to bring him 3 times a week. So and it was also close to school. So we decided we would come here. It had a casa clubhouse where teenagers would get together, and a lot of the kids from our kids' school live here so they could hang and everything. So we decided to come here to Bogota. So when our lease was ending at the other place, we we came here a month before just to move all of our stuff, and so it'll be an easier transition. And now that we've been here almost a year, we're supposed to move from here end of August. We are looking to now rent us a little house better. We're looking for a little bit more space and also not to have, you know, too much neighbors too close to us. Because we're used to, making noise and all that. Like here in this apartment, when the neighbors shut the door, it's really heavy, so you hear it. Our neighbors have dogs, so every time they leave the apartment, they're barking. It's just when you're in an apartment, your neighbors are so close to you. So that's why we want a little house. And so we're looking now to rent a little house at Vista Cana, which is another residence that's it's a much newer residence. And so the houses are much cheaper there to rent. So Cocotal, where we are now, is already an established residential, and the houses go for like 5,000, 5,000 a month dollars, which is ridiculous. So you can get something similar to it in Vista Cana for half the price. So that's why we went over there. But they're all new builds here. A lot of the houses, or at least this apartment, is a lot like old wood, and like, you know, there's a lot of problems with the like tube plumbing and stuff because it's old. And for that to be fixed, they have to like replace everything. And again, you're just a tenant, so. But we're going to Vista Cana where it's newer and there's so many amenities there. They have an artificial beach. They have a gym that Nathan could go to. There's tons of things there. They in some other within the residence there's multiple residents. So in one of those residents they have like horse riding available. They have canoes and paddles that you can do at the artificial beach. There's just so much things for the kids. So that's one of the reasons we're looking to move over there to Vista Cana. It's still close to the school, but it has more amenities, and then we would have more space and a newer build with less issues. So yeah, back to our little Serena apartment, and I'm so grateful for because it really was how I got to bring these people over here or like convince them because we just needed something that, somewhere we could leave our house and know that it would be ours, right? And that, um, it had a pool, it had all the things that we wanted. It close to the beach. It didn't have all the amenities that we look for now because we didn't know about life here yet. We just had to get here and then see, the better neighborhoods, the amenities that each residence has, how much rent goes for, how close is it to the school, all things that you don't really learn until you're here, because on paper Serena Village was about maybe 15, 20 minutes from school, but in the morning during rush hour, that becomes 45 minutes. So these are all the things you need to know before you come out here and decide to make these, life changes. Um, yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about was, wait, let me just enjoy this breeze. Another thing, meditating, grounding in my body. Another thing I wanted to talk about because I was just thinking about that yesterday. That almost every time I go back to Jersey, I come back declined. So like I'll go back home with this really high vibe, right? Really high vibration, super grateful, super in at peace, blissful, my baseline being really high up, right? And then once I'm back in New Jersey for a few weeks, it's almost like I align with the vibration of the collective, or of where people are vibrating over there back home. And then I'm back into the lower vibrations of like shame and guilt and fear, you know, and yeah. And so I am due to go back home in July 23rd, to go back home for a few weeks. And I'm already thinking about that, not fearing it, because, everything is divine, what everything is as it should be, right? But I am thinking about all the ways and all the things I can do so that I can stay vibrating high as I am now. Because again, the last time I went back home, I was vibrating so high. I was in such a great place. And then I get over there, and a few days over there, I'm already isolating. My social battery is low. Um, I have guilt about leaving my family and not being able to see Max grow up, and you know this selfish decision that I made, and leaving my family back over there. And then Nathan at the time was having a hard time belonging, and he loves his friends back in New Jersey. So he was like, "Oh my God, I want to do high school here, or like graduate here with my friends, and life would be so different if I was here. I would be with my friends all the time." So it was just all of that he was going through. He was going through his own thing, and so I kind of absorbed that, and and it also brought me down because I felt guilty for making this for making the decision to move here, and then impacting him in such a way. And yeah, but now that I'm in such a better place, I see that it was just my mind, and pretty much demons, um, whispering the spirit of fear and shame and all that stuff that isn't how I operate, um, and God is all about love and abundance and bliss. And so all of that was just the ego and the mind trying to control me and things like that. And programming that's taken in. Programming I've allowed to, you know, pretty much color my bliss and all that, all my divine nature and stuff. Um, so yeah, I am due to go back in July, and I am excited to see the family, and I'm also excited that we got to spend some time here at in DR for the summer, because usually we go back home and we spend the whole summer back home, and then back there we don't really go to the beach or the pool or anything, so we're pretty much just at home, and we do get to see the family, which is great, and we get to create memories. But then the summer, by the time we get back, it's the kids are back to school and back to the same, waking up early, uniforms need to be washed, you know. So I've really enjoyed having these weeks here. Well, they finished a week ago, but I'm enjoying having this time where we don't have to wake up early. I mean, I wake up early anyways. We don't have to rush out the door to take them to school. I don't have to worry about uniforms. It's a slower pace. I just have to work, and and that's it. And then after work, we can do things. During lunch, I can do things. I can take time off. I've taken a lot of sick. Well, I took a sick day on Monday because I was at the resort, and I didn't want her to be present. I didn't want her to be attached to the computer. um, but I've taken a few days in July to just, veg out, go to the beach, be at the pool, do things with my cousin Rosana here and her family. I've also taken a week off in August when we're back over there, so I'm off the computer and actually just, you know, go hiking with the kids or do the things that we like to do while we're over there. I just got a mosquito bite. Oh, and I scratched the shit out of it. I'm trying to. Ugh. Another thing, this this Christmas is the first Christmas, well, and New Year's, the first Christmas break that we're spending a whole break here. So our first Christmas here, once we moved in 2023, we didn't go back for Christmas and Christmas Eve. We went back like December 28th because our house back home was Airbnb, and we weren't planning to go back for the holidays, but then we got excited and we went back. We had just come in September, so we had like 3 months here. We went back. We spent New Year's over there. It was amazing. We usually throw the New Year's party. And so we've gone back every year since, right? 2023, 24, 25. And then in December 2025, when I was over there, I was like, you know what? I think we were both thinking, me and Bay, like, I think it's time for us to spend a Christmas over here. It would be nice to see how New Year's is over here and all that stuff. So we started telling our family, we're not coming back for Christmas this year. We're not going to do the New Year's party that we usually do. And you guys should all try to come and see us, and we should spend it together over here in Punta Cana. And so my mom's not going back either. My siblings are planning to come. I have my cousin Sol already bought her flight with her and her daughter. So we're gonna spend it here. This is gonna be our first Christmas in DR on this time in Punta Cana. So we're looking into resorts and we're looking into New Year's Eve parties and all that stuff. So that's exciting. And I hope that I'm at a high vibration at that time so I can show you guys, life here. And yeah, a good 22 minutes, pretty good. So this is my sixth episode of Island Girl, and I'm proud. Back when I was in my cocoon, in my dark night of the soul, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this podcast. I'm about to delete it from YouTube because the mind, right? It kind of tells you and tricks you into like, what are you doing? Nobody cares about what you say. It's all crap, it puts this like dark lens over everything. And so now that I'm in such a better place, and vibrating at bliss, peace, gratitude, I'm like, shit, I want to record another episode. I want to talk to, I want to share my experience, share what I've been up to, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's it for me. I love you guys. Have a beautiful weekend, and peace out.